Hey guys, Larry from the GRP here, and I'm on my lonesome today. But I thought I've been getting a lot of questions about Conor Benn and drug test and the drug that he was tested positive for, and just various questions. So I thought I'd answer it on a few videos, a couple of topics. So some of the questions that I got was what drug, like what does this drug do? Um, could it have been an accident? And what sort of performance, how can it improve performance, or is it worth using basically? And would, because a lot of people are saying, oh, Eddie Hearn and Sowland have said that the medical establishment would come out and say that it isn't performance enhancing. So I thought I'd just do a few a few videos clearing up a lot of the questions that I've been asked. So first of all, let's go into the drug that he tested positive for. So this drug is called clomiphene citrate. That's the actual name of the drug. That's the generic name. Um, the trade name for this drug is, it's got a lot of trade names. The most common trade name, which means the name the drug is sold under, is Clomid. But there are a few others. There's Sepafar, a few others. But anyway, regardless, if I say Clomid, you know what I mean. But the full name of the drug is clomiphene citrate. Now, what this drug is a selective estrogen receptor modulator, or SERM for short. Basically, in men, I'm just going to talk about, it's a fertility aid, basically, in women. That's what it's made for, right? It increases ovulation in women. But working through the same mechanism, it actually does increase fertility in men. It actually does raise men's sperm count as well. But it also increases male testosterone levels. And so how it does this, I've mentioned this on a previous video, but I'll go into a little bit more depth. So the body always runs on a feedback loop. When it sees a little bit of testosterone, it will try and increase it. If it sees too much testosterone, it will try and decrease it through a feedback mechanism. So basically, when your body uses testosterone to make estrogen in the male, right? So if you have little testosterone, you will have very little you will have very little estrogen as well. And that means you will have very little estrogen attaching itself to the estrogen receptor. I know it's a bit sciencey. So basically what Clomid does is it attaches itself to the estrogen receptor, but does nothing. So basically signaling to the brain that you need more testosterone so you can convert that to estrogen, right? So that's how it works. That's the feedback mechanism, right? So this is why if you went on a steroid cycle and then you have low testosterone, which means also low estrogen, you would use Clomid to speed up the body making testosterone, speed up making testosterone. There you go. So there have been numerous studies done on Clomid regarding raising testosterone levels, because it is used in secondary hypogonadism to increase testosterone more in younger males, should I say? Yeah, the studies have shown that it can increase it up to 4 times the amount, 400%. So that's a significant amount. So this would probably give you the same sort of benefit as a very low dose testosterone cycle, which would have numerous performance enhancement benefits, i.e. increased recovery, increased strength over time, with training, obviously, increased stamina. You know, it has a whole host of performance enhancement benefits. So, yeah, there's no doubt that drug can increase performance. What it can also do is maintain performance after a steroid cycle. So we know that if you take steroids or testosterone, which is a steroid anyway, you after you come off, you will have low testosterone, which means that your body will then crash and not perform as well. So Clomid can make sure that that doesn't happen by increasing your testosterone levels after a steroid cycle, which is where it's mainly used. Because TRT, it's used in TRT, but testosterone is the main drug used in TRT. But Clomid is used in post-cycle therapy after a steroid cycle, along with some other SERMs. Novodex is a very popular one as well, tamoxifen for some. So yeah, it's used mainly. So if someone pops a Clomid, you know they've probably done a steroid cycle, which is why they're using Clomid. Now for the bodybuilders not being tested, that's cool. But for a tested athlete, that's not cool, because Clomid has a detection window of over 4 months. Hence why you saw a lot of guys in the UFC like John Jones, Brock Lesnar popped for it as well. In fact, John Jones popped for it way after he used it. So yeah, it is a very detectable drug. So it's not a drug that a tested athlete would use. But that's if they've had good advice. The problem is that a lot of tested athletes are getting their advice from guys who are in a bodybuilding gym who have no idea about detection time. So that is part of the problem when it comes to tested athletes and some of these drugs. So yeah, you'll definitely get great performance benefits from it. But it's not an ideal drug to use if you're a tested athlete for the reason I just said. Now, would anyone in the medical community come out and say that you wouldn't get any performance enhancement from it? It depends what you mean by medical community. Now, there's loads of people in the medical community that don't know anything about the off-label use of Clomid. And off-label, I mean used to increase testosterone levels in men. Many, there's very few doctors that actually know about this or have any knowledge of this. So if you went to a doctor that didn't know about this, that only knew about using Clomid for fertility in females, yeah, they would say, yeah, there's no performance enhancing benefit. Of course they would. There'll be numerous doctors that would say that because they have no clue. But if you go to a TRT specialist doctor, they will tell you point blank, of course there's performance enhancing benefits from using Clomid. So that it all depends who you go to in the medical community. Now, Eddie Hearn and Sauerland have said that they could get people to say that there'll be no performance enhancing benefits, but then you'll be trying to play people from mugs, because in fact, there's loads of people who are not even in the medical community that can tell you that, as well as people being in the medical field. So yeah, you'll just make yourself look worse than you already are. And I don't think you want to make yourself look worse, do you, Eddie? The other question that I wanted to answer is, could it be an accident? In my opinion, this is just my opinion, I don't think it could be. Because if you are going to taint a supplement, because let's say, for instance, it's an accident, tainted supplements. If you're going to taint a supplement, which some supplement companies do, you're going to taint it with something that you know 100% is going to have direct benefit, i.e. a steroid. So I don't see why you would taint it with something that most likely would give you benefit, but it's quite possible that it wouldn't give you benefit with Clomid. You know what I mean? It wouldn't make sense to me. It wouldn't make sense to taint. Now, that's one way of having an accident with Clomid. Another way would be to say, oh, I took it inadvertently. But who has tablets lying around in their house or on the table and they just take one? Like, you always have it in a packet and it always says the drug name on the packet. So unless someone shoved it down your throat, because you can only take Clomid via tablets, unless someone shoved it down your throat, you can't really claim that you took it inadvertently. You know what I mean? So I don't think it's an accidental use. My personal opinion is Conor Benn probably did a steroid cycle from the advice of someone, a bodybuilder type person in the gym, also got the advice to do a post-cycle therapy with Clomid. He did it well in advance, but because Clomid has a long detectable window, he's been popped for it. Now that's my theory on what's happened. Do I think that he could get away with it? It's quite possible. It's quite possible. You know what I mean? But we'll combat that in the next video. So yeah, that's my take on that. Well, that's me telling you what Clomid is all about and how it would benefit an athlete. So make sure to catch my next video and I'll explain a couple other things. Yeah, stay tuned.